Nerd Academy podcast is released weekly at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, available on our website at www.thenerdacademypodcast.com and wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also help support the show by going to patreon.com/The Nerd Academy podcast, where every donation allows us to bring you more exciting content every week.
Hello, welcome. This is the Nerd Academy podcast, your source for nerd news and commentary. I am your host and superior webhead master, Jarod Bachman-Stubbs. Emphasis on the webs, because we're talking Spider-Verse today, baby. But joining me, as always, is my co-host, my friend, my confidant, your resident Green Lantern, one, Travis Grossman.
I was so calm. Also, I'm out of cans, and I apologize. I didn't pick my soda. I left the house once in the past 3 days, besides going to work yesterday, which was to buy my round of cold medicine that I slammed for 3 days.
Just doing shots of NyQuil. But yeah, we got, as my name on the video version here says, it's a light show with big news. Travis hasn't seen Hawkeye yet.
Nope.
So I'm going to be kind of talking into the void here, and spoilers abound because, yeah, we're going to talk about that thing in this most recent episode of Hawkeye, which ties into one of our stories very neatly. But first and foremost, before we jump into the news, before we get lost in the weeds there, quick word from our lovely sponsors over at Sunday's Bloody Mary. As you guys know, I'm a Bloody Mary guy. Travis and I were watching the Schmodown Spectacular tonight. I'm making Travis a Bloody Mary so he can experience the loveliness that is Sunday's Bloody Mary. Travis is doing hand farts for our audio listeners, of which there are clearly many, thanks to Spotify Rap. Thank you. In case anybody who couldn't see where that noise was coming from, that was where. Are you having fun?
Yes.
Well, we got the Spicy Bloody Mary mix, the Spicy Caesar, award-winning Spicy Caesar. That is my favorite. There's a mild mix. We got a subscription box, rim salt, vegan Bloody Mary mix. We got some pickle garnishes in the okra, dilly beans, and asparagus. I am a asparagus guy myself. They got a holiday bundle going right now, as well as shot glasses and T-shirts, and you can get a gift card. But if you would like to hook yourself up with some of the most badass Bloody Mary accoutrement on the planet, go to sundaysbloodymary.com/shop and use code TNAP at checkout. And you get 10% off your order, and you help out some of your favorite nerds while you do it. All of that said, Travis, well, first let me ask, how are you doing, bud? You feeling better?
Much better. Like,
you
specifically this morning, like I was still kind of in a funk yesterday, but I was able to go to work, and we all just got a head cold this weekend. Like three of us caught it all at the same time. Our one supervisor had to stay home to take a COVID test. No one's positive. Like, we're all safe, but it was just all of us got sick all at once. We have no idea how or why. But yeah, like specifically this morning, I just feel. Bless you.
Thank you.
I just feel way better. So.
Well, that's good to hear. Speaking of, I brought it up on number one contender.
Like this.
No more corpse Travis. I mentioned it on last week's number one contender. I want to bring it up again here on the main show itself. Spotify Wrapped came around. Travis, how was your Wrapped? I saw you make a joke on Twitter that it was all sea shanties and anime music.
Basically, yeah. So my top artists, it was like the composer for My Hero Academia. It was The Longest Johns, which is the sea shanty group I listen to the most. And then it was like Panic, Fall Out Boy, and Five Sauce. So it was normal stuff. But then
Yeah.
oddly enough, my what genres, my top genres, my number one was dance pop.
That wouldn't surprise me. The Five Sauce and stuff similar to that, and like
Well, the thing
recent
is,
Panic.
emo also was on there. It was lower, but it was on there. So I think what happened was because like if I'm driving with Lexi, I hand her my I'm like, here, you get music, and she listens. She'll put on Ariana Grande or Ariana Grande, or but just things of that nature. And
Yeah.
so I think we listened to enough of everything that it became my most listened to genre without any one particular artist.
So something similar and funny happened with me, where as you know, I, my friends, you guys know, like I mostly listen to hip hop, and like my top 5 artists reflect that. I because I had my Kanye kick this year that was supposed to would have probably have been like a 2-month trend, turned into like most of the year because of all the anticipation for Donda. Um, so like Kanye was my top artist, followed by Kendrick, Gambino, Tyler the Creator, and J. Cole. And I was like, that all makes sense. Like you have Bino and Kendrick, who have always been my 2 favorites. Kanye, who I listened to a deep dive podcast about one of my favorite albums, and then he dropped a new album, which is pretty long. So my Kanye kick leading into Donda makes sense. Tyler dropped a new album. Cole dropped a new album. So I'm like, okay, all of these make sense that I had all these guys in my rotation more than normal. But when I got to the genre thing, that was hilarious because the top 4 were all pretty even, combinations of pop rap, Chicago rap, conscious rap, and another like subgenre of hip hop. And then way at the bottom, really tiny, was classic rock. And I'm like, where the hell camp?
Yep. Yeah, that too. Because my phone was like, "Oh yeah, you listen to like 40 something genres. How did this happen?" And I was like, "We do have that like 3-day long playlist
that will inexplicably jump from like inexplicably jump from like Lil Yachty to like the Eagles."
unless you're not in like physically present when it's playing, in which case it exclusively plays Childish Gambino or Kendrick Lamar.
Which is so funny.
Like
Whenever we were at camp this year, apparently whenever I was not in the room, what was it, like 5 Kendrick songs in a row?
yeah, not even like. Granted, it wasn't shuffled at first, so that's what did it that time. But we were,
okay, yeah, because I would just go to artists and then like add
no, I
as I
mean,
went. Yeah.
yeah, not that. I mean, recently, like we put it on in the car. I think we were driving back from Maryland a couple weekends ago, and we put the playlist on, and after she shuffled it, it played like it was like Gambino, Kendrick, Gambino, Kendrick, in that order.
I was
And
saying
it does that
hi through
often.
the radio. That's so funny to me. But yeah, no, Spotify. I always love that time of year. But the funny thing was like, I don't think I had a Kanye song in my top 5 songs, but I listened to him as a whole, which I like seeing the weird little trends in there. Also, my unhealthy obsessions were all put
I don't
on
even know what my
blast.
top 5 songs were. I don't even remember.
My unhealthy obsessions were put on blast whenever they got to my podcast, though, because my top 5, I believe, in this order was Knowledge Fight, not good. The show is great. Knowledge Fight's an incredible podcast. I probably listen to it a little bit too much. Behind the Bastards, dissect Last Podcast on the Left and QAnon Anonymous. So I was like, yeah, this absolutely checks out. This looks like mine. I can't remember what my top 5 songs were either. Now I want to look while you're looking as well.
that's first of all my podcast.
I remember my artist, but I can't remember the songs.
When it comes to podcast listening, I'm actually a bit of a pro according to Spotify. So you know,
Yeah.
But, my top 5 were Behind the Bastards, North 100, which is a Magic the Gathering podcast that doesn't produce enough content, unfortunately, because they don't have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
But when they do make content, I listen to all of it. Like they'll release a couple of new episodes every couple of months, and then I re-listen to the entirety of the catalog.
There's a couple video essays on the same way where it's like I'm all in. So Curio is the YouTube channel. They, she, those are like the preferred pronouns. So I'm using both. So people are familiar with the channel. Rebranded to Sophie from Mars, and they're doing a like breakdown of Resident Evil. Never played a Resident Evil game. I watched the entire part 1 and am like hooked. Cannot again, now the YouTube channel is called Sophie from Mars. Cannot recommend that channel enough. Love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Love it in all their content.
The Schmodown is my 3rd because I listened to most of the matches. And then Last Pod on the Left is my 4th. But I didn't listen to a single new episode of Last Pod this year. I just
re-binge like
JFK stuff like 4 times. Like enough that I started listening to other podcasts about JFK and the Cuban Missile Crisis.
That shit. That is awesome.
Yeah, I man, that whole time period, I think we burned out all of our collective luck as a race, as like a society in those like whatever 2 weeks, month.
Probably.
Did you know? Literally the telegram that Kennedy sent saying we accepted the deal was not sent through like a special, like they didn't have a thing to receive it at the Kremlin. It got sent to it, like it was encrypted, but it got sent to a normal telegram office and got delivered by some kid on his bike.
Oh my God.
Like some kid, like if that kid had been hit by a car, if that kid had crashed his bike, had he been mauled by bears, I don't know, he's in Russia. Like
if he just fell off his bike and like was like, oh man, I gotta sit down for a second. I got like messed up my ankle.
Yeah, we're all dead. It's great. Then I clicked out of my thing before I got to my songs.
I want to say real quick, speaking of Last Podcast on the Left, I don't know if they listen or not, but 2 of my regulars, Kai and Erica, they're actually the people who got me hip to Last Podcast on the Left. Very lovely people. I love when they come in. They might be my favorite customers. They apparently went to see the Last Podcast on the Left live show in Baltimore a couple weeks ago. And because they did the VIP thing, each of them got a signed Last Podcast on the Left poster. And Kai and Erica, being the absolute sweethearts they are, went, well, we only need one of these. And luckily, we know a pretty big Last Podcast fan. And luckily, his co-host is a pretty, pretty into Last Podcast on the Left. So at some point today, I will be getting a frame for it. But we're going to have a framed Last Podcast on the signed Last Podcast on the Left poster in this studio. It's awesome. Really cool. It's the ABBA art. I don't know if you've seen it, where it's
no, I haven't.
Ben, Henry, and Marcus in like the 70s style disco outfit standing with an alien.
I love it.
And it was called the Mamma Mia Here We Go Again tour. But it says like La Pottle, and they're standing on like a disco. It's really cute. I'll send you a picture of it later. I just wanted to say thank you to you guys. That's going to be one of my new favorite things to hang up here. But yeah, I don't know. I'm going to try to make sure it ends up somewhere on camera. It's probably going to go under and in between Spiderman and Hondo right here. I think it has like the perfect amount of space to fit there. But yeah, my top songs ended up being in ascending order. Redbone, DNA, Sir Baudelaire, Industry Baby, and Element.
Mine were Blood Lad, which is an anime song. I don't even know what anime it's from. I don't know. It's
This shit just catchy.
yeah, it's on Hayashi released 2 best of mixes at the end of last year. Like at the end of 2020 going into 2021, and I had those like cranked for like the entire first half of the year. 4 Hours, which is a sea shanty. Trickster, which is another one off that best of album for Yuki Hayashi. Wellerman, because of
The bop.
course.
Yeah.
And You Say Run, which is like the main theme for My Hero.
I love that. I love that so much. But with Wrapped, which got us onto this topic. But it's a light show and a little conversation up top. Never heard anybody before we jump into the show proper. Our Spotify Wrap numbers for podcasters were insane. And seeing subscribers and listeners and consumption of the shows up by metrics of 100% got me a little verklempt, and I cannot thank everybody who listens to the show, specifically on Spotify, enough for your continued listening. So thank you all very much. Look forward to having you guys along the ride in the future. And I think without any further ado, Travis, what did you think of the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1 trailer?
I think the most shocking part was the part 1 that just seems really ambitious.
I don't think so at all. I don't think there's a way. I don't think this universe or this movie doesn't make like fuck you money. Just granted, like Spider-Verse 1 didn't do incredibly well at the box office, but it became this proven commodity that got a second life on home release and on streaming.
That's true. And
plus all the award season buzz from whenever it came out.
I don't say that in the oh wow, they're really expecting this to do well that they want 2 parts. Like I think marketing it that way helps it a lot. Because then you're like, well, I gotta see this one because then they're gonna make a second one. I want to see the second one, It just I don't know that I've ever seen something besides like maybe Infinity War and Endgame being marketed as a part 1 and part 2 this early.
Yeah.
Well,
hell, even Dune and the It movies waited until they were out to slap a number on itself.
That's true.
Like Dune, they kept marketing it as oh, we will do a sequel, probably, maybe. We plan to. There was that beating around the bush, and then you sit down in the theater, you put it on HBO Max, and the first thing you see is Dune Part 1.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with It. The first It comes out, and all the buzz is how oh, this movie is just going to focus on the story and the big wind while they're kids. And during the credits, part 1, and you hear Pennywise laughing. Yeah. So I like when movies do that. I like being ambushed by the sequel announcement in the theater. I think that's always kind of cool and fun. But if I'm getting my wish that this movie is going to follow more closely the Spider-Verse comics, the fact that they're going, it's kind of hard to do interdimensional vampires in one movie.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna spread this out a little bit. Miles has a new suit, which is kind of what I was really hoping would happen. I know you're a big fan of the graffiti suit.
I am. I quite like it.
Yeah.
I think it has a lot of personality.
It does have a lot of personality, and maybe I'm a little too cold and clean cut when it comes to my spider suits. But I do like my spider suits a lot more streamlined and sleek. So seeing that he kept a lot of the design elements from the graffiti suit, i.e. the spider being in a circle, very almost Superman-y, I think is a nice touch. But it's clearly a printed on spider. It's not uneven like the graffiti symbol It has the symmetrical. I forgot how to say that word. I like the red bands going up the arms and legs. I think that's a really nice touch. I just really like this sleeker Miles suit. It feels, it feels more like a practice Spider-Man now. Now that he's done with his first adventure, and I like that a lot. I think there is a bit of a time gap because when people were putting like side by sides of like Miles circa Into the Spider-Verse and now this one,
Yeah,
and like he
he
has
looks
like
a lot older.
he looks older. He has like kind of a fade going on too. So it felt like that little epilogue at the end of Into the Spider-Verse where Gwen kind of opens up the portal and pokes her head in. Was kind of like cute and sweet at the end of the movie, but it feels like a little bit of I'm not going to get hung up on continuity for an animated movie, but that's clearly meant to be a stinger that's leading into this one. And now that we have the updated animation, but yeah, I've seen. So the big thing in the trailer, a lot of people talking about is Spider-Man 2099 kind of bursting through the portal, taking them through another portal, and then falling through Nueva York. Just want to address one bit of speculation I've been seeing. There are some people speculating that it might be Gabriel O'Hara that we see in that moment, but we also do have confirmation that Oscar Isaac will be back as Miguel. Now, in a movie that is based around having multiple versions of the same character, I think having two of Spider-Man 2099 might be a little bit much. So I would be surprised if it's Gabriel O'Hara 2099 2, which is Miguel's son named after his brother. So either Gabe Spidey 2099, I don't think we'll be seeing. I think we are just seeing Oscar Isaac as Miguel in that scene. And it's so nice to see this art style again. I'm so excited that we're getting back into this. We have an October 2022 release date, which shocked the shit out of me.
But this has been in production for a while now, so like,
yeah,
they've kind of been
that's
silently
true.
working on it.
There was a part of me that honestly thought we weren't seeing this until 2023. So I was surprised to see this like a year and some change early. I'm very, very, very excited about the whole thing. Travis?
Yeah. I didn't expect to enjoy Spider-Verse as much as I did, and I want the sequel out yesterday. And it's not going to be yesterday, but less than a year from now. It does not seem that far away.
No, not at all. Like I said, I can't believe that's kind of on our docket for next year now. I immediately upon watching it, especially because like because of No Way Home, everybody is in the bag I spend all year round in, which is relentlessly and faithfully standing Dr. Octopus, and I still can't get over how badly we need Superior Spider-Man to be in this. I'm just saying it now because I have an obligation to. I was having a conversation after I watched the trailer with my girlfriend where I was like, if they keep the symmetry of like how they introduced all the Spider-Men into the Spider-Verse, doing that for Superior would be so cool and would send a chill down the audience's spine who don't know. Like if you have this like a red and black with giant red metal arms coming off the back of him, Spider-Man walk through a portal, and you just have one of them be like, who the hell's this guy? And to do that thing where like the comic book gets slammed on the table. Let's do this one last time. My name is Otto Octavius, and I am the Superior Spider-Man. Like that would be such a great end stinger, or like just such a great moment. I think people who know nothing would lose their ever-loving minds. That boom, here's a Doc Ock Spider-Man that you just have to deal with now. But that's always going to be my pipe dream that we get Superior in one of these movies. But yeah, very exciting stuff. Very excited to see where all this goes. There was also some stuff for Morbius and No Way Home. I avoided the No Way Home stuff because I'm kind of like checking out of the marketing at this point. I don't want to see
That's
anything
fair.
else.
I haven't watched anything, but everything that's been shoved at me, they're like really pushing Willem Dafoe, Alfred Molina, and Jamie Foxx as like,
Yeah.
these are the villains. Here's interviews with them. Here's posters. Here's this. And it's like, you're shoving this in my face, but what's behind the curtain? Hmm?
Light reflecting off your penis. For myriad reasons.
Is that Tom Hardy I see?
Speaking of Jared Leto, real quick, sidebar. I saw House of Gucci this weekend.
Oh, yeah?
I loved it. I thought it was incredible. The only thing is that everybody is in a different movie than Jared Leto.
Which
And
sounds
well,
like normal for Jared Leto, but go on.
you'd have no idea. Everybody is doing these like super understated, like subtle Italian accents. And then Jared Leto is going full Mario Brothers.
Yep.
Like actual quote from the movie, and this is what he sounds like. I just want to spread my wings and fly away like a pigeon. Actual line from this movie. It will just go like it is just so like dramatic and raw. And then Jared Leto shows up in like a pink and purple suit, says the most ridiculous shit that feels like he's ad-libbing it because it's like there's no way he was written like this. But I highly recommend House of Gucci. I was embarrassing in the theater because every time Jared Leto opened his mouth, I was just laughing very, very, very loudly at every line of dialogue he had. And any hoozles. Our next and final story before we do some Hawkeye talk, where I'll basically be selling Travis on Hawkeye.
It's out?
Kev- finally confirmed officially by Kevin Feige. Charlie Cox is back as the man without fear himself, Daredevil. This is from the IGN article by Ryan Leston. It's official. Charlie Cox will remain the MCU's Daredevil. Marvel boss Kevin Feige has confirmed. He just won't say when we will see that return. During an interview with Cinema Blend, Feige revealed that fan favorite Charlie Cox will be back as Marvel's Daredevil. Here's the quote from Papa Feige himself. If you were to see Daredevil in upcoming things, Charlie Cox, yes, would be the actor playing Daredevil. Where we see that, how we see that, when we see that remains to be seen. The irony of the amount of times that see and seen were used in reference to Daredevil, I hope is not lost on anyone. But yeah, we are officially getting him back as Daredevil. Will that be in Spider-Man No Way Home? Will that be in She-Hulk? We already have rumors about it being in Echo, which again ties into Hawkeye, seeing as this episode was very Echo-driven. Travis, thoughts on finally having this confirmed and out in the open for real now?
Yeah, it just seems smart.
Yeah.
For people to shut up about it.
Honestly, yeah. I agree. I'm kind of like numb to it at this point. But I'm glad we have confirmation. This ad for Amazon Prime Video is confusing me. It says superhero leads to supervillain with like the Amazon smile going from Invincible to Homelander. I'm confused.
From Invincible to Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, so going into Hawkeye this week's I'm really enjoying the show and I love the MCU. I saw a critique this week. I believe it was a friend of the show, Adam Lance Garcia on Twitter. whom I respectfully disagree with on a lot of MCU stuff. Um, Generally speaking, I think Adam's a little hard on the MCU. That's neither here nor there. He had a very, 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 very good point. That again, I don't agree with 100%, but I do think is worth bringing up. That in recent time, Marvel has very heavily leaned on the meta narrative over the narrative in its storytelling. And that can be seen in what happened with this week's Hawkeye. I'm not seeing as many people talk about the incredible fight we had in the toy store. I'm not seeing people talking about how like beautiful the Echo flashback where we learn about her, learning to overcome her deafness and her prosthetic leg, and how she has used it to become this incredible fighter who has Hawkeye on his back foot and running away until he has his bow and arrow back. No one's talking about the very stylish and fun car chase, compared to the fact that we got a tease of Kingpin. And it kind of goes back to the issue that WandaVision had, that Falcon and the Winter Soldier kind of had, that Loki definitely had, where I can't tell if it's Marvel's fault or the audience's fault that all we keep talking about is cameos and who might show up where, when, and how, less than we're talking about the actual substance of the story. And I don't want the MCU to only be impressive because it's the franchise where everything is connected. Like, why does it connect should be just as important. Now, I think where Adam and I would disagree is that I feel like the why it connects is still important and does get shown off enough. And I think Adam doesn't think as much. I don't want to speak for him. Obviously, he's not here to actually explain his point of view. But he did, mention that like Marvel relies on the narrative or on the meta narrative, and how all of the buzz and hype around this episode is we see the side of Vincent D'Onofrio's hand and we hear him chuckle. Like he just goes, huh, whenever he's talking to a young Echo in that flashback. And I can't say that like I got excited. I freaked out. I love Fisk. I love Daredevil. I was very excited to see all that. But by the same token, like I was also just as engaged, if not more, than the actual content of the episode. You know what I mean? And obviously you haven't seen it yet, so I could sound like a crazy person.
No, but the concept of what you're saying makes total sense. Like, and I don't think it's exclusive to Marvel, and I don't think
Star Wars absolutely has this problem too.
Star Wars has this problem. DC has this problem. I think my issue with Marvel's version of it comes in the like things that aren't the MCU.
Yeah. Where
like a lot of stuff feels like it's relying on you having watched the MCU to have your knowledge of it. So like I've said this a lot. The comics have conformed to like what works in the movies. Okay, we're gonna make that in the books, and that's gonna sell. It's one of the reasons I've really been enjoying Guardians of the Galaxy, like the game, because it's just so the only thing they like really took from the movie is the team, because it's the movie team, but it's not
and
their
the
movie.
Like jukebox musical element of it, I would say as well.
Yeah, less so that because it doesn't seem like the specific songs are important like they are in like the movies. It's just a killer soundtrack, and I can appreciate that.
Okay.
But like I've been enjoying it because it doesn't feel like they're basing anything off the MCU. Like it's all comic shit. Like they make several references to the fact that in this version, Drax is the one that killed Thanos. So like that's felt super cool. But by the same token, I don't know where I was going with this. Like, I don't think they're writing the MCU going, the big hit of the episode is this Fisk scene. This is just like, it's fun for the people that know, and it's a good lead up into who's probably going to be our main villain. Right?
Yeah.
The same thing with Kang in Loki, right? Like, we didn't get teases. The entire finale episode was just, hey, it's Kang. Surprise.
Yeah. Yeah. but by the same token, I think it's surprise for the people who know shit. Like,
That's true.
if we didn't know Jonathan Majors is playing Kang the Conqueror, we would kind of have a moment where we went, "Oh, okay, this He Who Remains guy is really neat," and we wouldn't realize that he's like an amalgamation of He Who Remains and Immortus and whatever.
That's true.
We would have been kind of numb to that reveal, aside from Jonathan Majors kind of killing it. And the weird thing with the MCU is that there is this weird it's like there's a hyper fan that's also a casual that I think is unique to the MCU as a fandom.
I
There's
think
a
you're
lot
right.
of people. There's a lot of people who know a lot about the Marvel Universe secondhand. A lot of their knowledge comes from the MCU. They've learned where the MCU is different in some parts. And we'll get into a fist fight with somebody to get a ticket. But I don't know how many times they rewatch the movie. I don't know how many times the movie has made them want to read the source material. And not that the familiarity with the source material is a requirement. It never is. You would never hear Travis and I ever say something like that. But there is a level of hardcore dedicated fandom the MCU has where people are watching this shit, tracking this shit. There's a reason why there's this whole clusterfuck of leaks for Spider-Man because the interest is there. But a lot of those same people, I don't know how many Spider-Man comics they've ever read.
I was just
by the
looking
looks
at that
of
point. It's like, I know so many people that are like, I don't say this again to be like, they're not real fans, because I haven't read the Clone Saga. I'm not a maniac. But I know people that have never heard of it, that don't know what it's about. And they're like, I've been a diehard Spider-Man fan my whole life. I've watched every movie. I've watched all the TV shows. And I'm like, oh, not even, I don't even do it as like the check if they're a real fan. Because you like Spider-Man. You're a real fan. Congratulations.
Yeah.
You passed the only qualifier. But like,
the bar is, do you like the thing?
like, congratulations, you did it. But like, you're right. It's the MCU specifically where like, and I'm guilty of this too. I knew nothing about Iron Man or Captain America before the MCU because I was more of a DC kid because of Justice League. I didn't know when I went to see Thor in 2011 with my brother and my nephew, I thought it was just some cool like Norse myth movie, and only like as it was happening, I was like, wait, Thor is a Marvel character. Like they use Thor in Marvel stuff. Oh, this is cool. This is neat. That's the guy from. This is sweet. I like this. Like I just had no idea. I think in that same way, a lot of people have like you said, gotten really into the MCU and have taken that as their like supreme Marvel knowledge. And so it's like this weird. Don't say what you were saying. I don't know how to think about saying the words.
Just that I think that I think the majority of the fandom for the MCU. Now, again, I'm not talking about general public. Like you have your kids who these are primarily geared towards, and you have people like my dad who just generally like superhero movies. that like you have the children and their parents that are the target demographic, but the other target demographic, I think the teen to adult majority of MCU fans are the hyper hardcore casual, which I think is a MCU specific phenomenon. And within the hyper MCU hardcore casual, there are the people whom keep up to date with movie news, who are the people who like found out and who know about the rumors and leaks. Now, in that subset, you have people whose like media literacy isn't great. So you have people who don't know the difference between the Hollywood Reporter and We Got This Covered, which again, not speaking ill of those people, but the amount of times that I have people who like ask me about like, oh, this developing story or that developing story, where I have to be like, this is complete bunk because with all due respect, I think I would have heard about this considering what I do in here, what we do,
The only
I
time
think,
anyone's ever come to me and been like, "Did you hear about this?" and I've said no, and it was a real thing, is if it happened literally 2 minutes ago.
yeah, like a
Like
breaking story.
if it was within the hour, and like they were like, "Did you hear that about these like leaks for Spiderman or whatever?" Like, "Did you hear about this thing in Hawkeye?" And I'll be, Hawkeye's an exception because I haven't watched it yet. But they're like, because it's not out yet. I have to wait for it to come out.
Yeah, I'm getting press copies.
Yeah, exactly. It's all that mouse money.
It's that mouse and Bloody Mary money, guys. I don't know what to tell you.
But just that, like, we hear about this. Twitter knows what we like to see, and Twitter pushes on both of us. And granted, I haven't opened Twitter in 2 days, mostly.
Same.
I'm trying my
Lately.
best. I know more than I should, and I'm trying my best.
Trying my best, Julius.
I'm trying my best, Julius.
I had
see him again. He better be in No Way Home.
I JB Smoove is, so I think the teacher is too.
Good. Good.
I had the pleasure of dropping the bomb on Taylor the other night. That whether it was intentional or not, JB Smooth's best line in all of No Way or Far From Home is a reference to WandaVision now.
Oh my god.
Because it happens several months after WandaVision. An entire town got held hostage by an Avenger who's now going by the name Scarlet Witch and did battle with another witch. So the fact that he goes, as a man of science, witted, makes complete sense now. Was it intentional? Probably not. Is it the best part of the movie? Yes.
That upsets me greatly. Like, not in a bad way. I'm just like, I'm mad I didn't realize this during WandaVision.
Oh shit! I didn't realize you didn't notice that either yet. Because I said it to my dad. It was like because Far From Home was on FX and we were watching it while we ate dinner, and like we both started laughing because we just the man of science widgets, and my dad and I are laughing, and I'm like, it's about WandaVision now, right? He's like, what? And I was like, the Westview incident happens like about a month and a half after Endgame. This is 8 months after Endgame. WandaVision happened first. JB Smoove is talking about the Westview fiasco.
Mm-hmm. I hate that. I hate that, and I love it, but I hate that.
The best part of the movie. But yeah, Hawkeye's been great, and I'm very excited for the next episode. Hopefully Travis is caught up by then. Because I think I would greatly appreciate it because it looks like episode 4 is going to be a big one. And there's some stuff brewing. Obviously, we knew because of the rumors and Vincent D'Onofrio basically doing everything in his power to spoil it. That Fisk is going to be in this. Like he liked the tweet that broke the story, and then like the day before Hawkeye started streaming, he retweeted the clip that Marvel's Twitter had posted and went, "I sure do like these superhero TV shows," in his quote tweet. And then we got the scene where like the hand and we hear his voice. So if it wasn't blatantly obvious up to this point, dead to rights, Wilson Fisk is in this show. So it's exciting and awesome, and I love all of that. I love where we're going with Echo. This episode I think did what the Mandalorian season 2 tried to do several times, but better. Where a lot of episodes were backdoor pilots, and this was absolutely a backdoor pilot for Echo, but done spectacularly. There was a like the reason I think it does it better is that the front half of the episode, like they found a way for because the episode begins with them being captured, like still under the capture of Echo, and them fighting their way out. So by the midpoint of the episode, we are back to the Hawkeye drama and less out of the how are we going to escape Echo, who is Echo, Echo's origin story, flashback, all of this stuff. And then we end with the great cliffhanger that is what's going what might be our first confrontation between Hawkeye and Swordsman, which excites me very, very much. I hope this show has the cojones to say that they know each other. I really hope they do. I really hope there's a moment of recognition. Obviously, Jacques, whatever you want to call him, knows who Hawkeye is because Hawkeye's a friggin' celebrity at this point. I want Hawkeye to know Jack. I want Hawkeye to go, what the hell are you doing here? And why do you have my old sword? That's what I really want to see. I want to see them in like again, not like retcon, but like retroactively make it so that we learn now in the present tense Hawkeye's comic origin does actually carry over. And that he has a relationship with Swordsman. I think that would be very cool. I think it would be a very interesting decision to make. Obviously, Swordsman is going to be Kate Bishop's opponent to take down by the end of the season for reasons. But yeah, I really love this episode of Hawkeye. I think this stood head and shoulders on top of episodes 1 and 2. Again, not that they were bad, but they weren't. Episode 1 was not a whole lot to write home about. You can see the bones of something really good. But I wasn't blown away by episode 1. Episode 2, I was like, okay, I'm in. Like I'm officially in. And then episode 3, I think this is how every show except for WandaVision and Loki has happened for me. With What If and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where it's like I'm kind of into it. I see where we're going. Episode 3 completely sells me and hits me out of the park. I mean, WandaVision kinda. I was more into the mystery than I was the actual show, but episode 3 got me into the show more than the mystery. But either way, like I got into the same format that was the moment I got completely roped in. Yeah. I think that's all we got. Travis, any thoughts? Any what's the vibe you're getting from Hawkeye, having not seen it but been part of these reviews?
I can't wait for it to come out.
That bit is
It's
I'm looking forward to how you dismount that bit, if at all.
We'll see what happens next week.
Was it? Oh, that's funny. But
This feels in the caliber of show I don't think, and like WandaVision, I guess for me, but not as much because like you said, episode 1 of WandaVision just I was sucked in.
Yeah.
But I'm just not super interested, and that's not its fault. Maybe I'm just burned out on superhero TV, and I'm so ready for Spider-Man. But also, I've seen so much of Spider-Man that I'm like, I just want this movie to be out. I just want to be done. I want to see it and just have it over with. You know.
I think you will be very pleasantly surprised and sucked in by Hawkeye.
Yeah, I don't think I'll think it's bad. I don't think I'll be disappointed. But that's gonna be. I'm gonna be like, wow, this is really fun and cool. It's MCU stuff, sweet. And I think that's what everyone criticizes the MCU about, is that that's the feeling you get of yeah, this is really cool. This is fun. And they're like, it can't be fun and cool. You can't just have fun watching something. You have to feel. And I'm like, yeah, I feel like I'm having fun. That's feeling. They accomplished their goal. Yeah. Congratulations.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a very poignant thing. But I'm so confused by these ads. Yeah. Travis, where can the lovely people find you?
They can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Travis Political after tonight.
Yes.
Because then we'll be in the know.
We'll finally both be in the know. Yeah.
I don't know all. I only know a few things.
What do you know? Like, don't say it on it, obviously, but you said you know a couple plot lines.
I know 2 plotline things. Because I did the dumb thing and opened Facebook, and it either defaults to a Schmodown post or that Robert Evans group we're in. Right? It's one of those 2 every time. And I rolled that dice way too much this weekend.
Give me machete, give me machete, give me machete, give me machete. Schmodown shit.
No, I know who won. So I know who won Intergeekdom.
Oh.
I know I have a pretty good idea of who won singles.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm not 100% on that, but I think I know.
So the 2 I'm the most edge of my seat for.
Exactly. I just have that knowledge. I have that power over you.
Which it happens. And this is pretty much how it happens every blessed time.
And 2 plotline things, because one of the things was a poll for what was moment of the night. I don't know. I've seen people talk about Merle and Dan. I don't know because I know what I just did. Merle and Roka. If you hadn't said it, I wouldn't have caught myself. I would have.
I know, because I did the same thing on Contender.
But because people were talking about for moment of the night, a lot of people were talking about either Roka's entrance or Merle's speech after the match. But I don't know what either of I don't know what that means, because it doesn't. I don't know who won, which is great. I don't want to know.
Oh man!
But also, you're gonna cry. I don't know what is said in that speech, but just in general, you're probably gonna cry. I know you. You're gonna cry.
Oh man, I'm so excited. I keep remembering it's Roka's last match, and I'm like,
I know one minor plotline thing and one really big plotline thing.
Okay.
So.
Okay. All right, cool. I'm into it.
And now I just have to stay off Facebook for one more day.
Yeah.
One more day.
And luckily you'll be at work, so that'll probably be easy. Work will do most of the work for you. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at DarkJedi2552. Like Travis, I've been kind of light on the socials for the past few days. This is I've been trying to avoid spectacular spoilers. I kept my eyes closed, like half closed, so I couldn't see my whole screen. Because right after I had that conversation with my girlfriend about Spider-Verse, I was like, I need to tweet that. I need to make that my name is Otto Octavius and I'm the superior. Okay, cool. Send tweet and then close Twitter again, and then
posted pictures from our weekend, but again, did the whole thing like I'm like looking at the screen with like closed eyes with my hand in front of it, so all I can see are the buttons that I need. Like I went to great lengths to protect myself from Schmodown spoilers this weekend.
Oh wait, I actually know 2 of the matches. Concretely,
Oh.
I know 2 of the matches, and then I'm pretty sure about the third.
Okay, great job.
You know, I did so
The
good.
Strategy
this weekend.
worked for one of us.
Yeah. The only one I don't know is Star Wars. I've not seen a single thing about the Star Wars match, and I'm okay with that.
Me too. But yeah, Dark Jedi 2552. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on our website, www.thenerdacademypodcast.com, where if you're feeling generous, you can shut the hell up. You can donate to our Patreon page.
Give me $1.
You can also pay us to make us shut up. Speaking of our patrons, thank you for our $10 alumnus, Nick Johnson, Omarayu Shindeyu. Nani! I know I can't say it right, and Travis can, but I'm going to say it wrong. Because I'm the one who has to say it on every show. The Waffle Wizard, Delta 9, and Feige's Broomer Burner. $5 tier. Final Versus Series episode of the year coming at you this week. Probably on Thursday. Spencer and I will be recording that. So very late Thursday night or Friday afternoon. Somewhere in that window, Lord Hoth versus Darth Vader will be out, and Spencer and I will have detail. Well, I'll just say it now. We're going to do 2 versions of the Versus Series tournament. We are going to have our Patreon submissions, and we are going to have non-patrons able to submit a bracket. So we'll explain more thoroughly at the end of Lord Hoth versus Darth Vader. In fact, we might actually be able to unveil the bracket at the end of that episode. We'll see. But how it's going to work is we're going to have all of the winners of this season's Versus Series episodes on one side of the bracket, all the losers on the other. And then Spencer and I are basically going to do an ass load of mini Versus episodes to decide who the winningest winner would be on one side of the bracket and who the winningest loser would be. And then who would win between whoever the winningest winner is and the winningest loser. Last year, we did a bracket submission. Our $5 patron, Charlotte, had a nearly perfect bracket. The only place she messed up is that she had Qui-Gon Jinn beat Kit Fisto, which that's the interesting thing about how these brackets turn out, is that you can miss one, which kind of puts you at a disadvantage for the next match or next matchup, but you can still kind of get that point back and keep moving forward. Each round of the tournament goes up in like points. Like you get you get a pretty big points amount of points if you get the people who are at the end right. If somebody has a perfect bracket up until the semifinals and finals, I think that would be hilarious. And just has the reverse. But patrons who submit, the winner will get a shirt, a mug, a sticker, and a mask. And non-patrons will get a shirt and a mask for whoever has the most accurate bracket. If we have enough submissions in the non-Patreon, I will let you guys know. I will make an announcement that we will go forward with that. I want to wait and see what interest looks like for the non-patron. I know pretty much all of our patrons submitted a bracket last season. So I would be surprised if we don't have the turnout to make that happen. But we also will be doing the tournament episode itself as a live stream. So stay tuned for all of that. Again, Lord Hoth versus Darth Vader. We'll be making the announcements publicly, but patrons will find out first. So yeah, keep your eyes out for that. Because of the time of the year, the Versus Series tournament might happen at the very, very end of December, or maybe even the beginning of 2022. Might be when we actually do that live stream. So again, keep your ears up, stay tuned, watch this space. There will be announcements. I will probably be releasing announcement videos on the channel. And putting it in the podcast feed so people can stay aware and informed. Just in case anything gets missed in our socials. Because I'm very excited for this. I know Spencer and I had a lot of time doing it last year. That's going to be a hell of an undertaking this year. Because we basically have 24. It's a 24 character tournament to start. So it's going to whittle its way in slowly but surely. There's definitely going to be some people who don't make it very far. I wouldn't put a lot of money on Coyote Mundi, but I love Kai, but there's some real hitters.
Baby. It's all in on
Mundi. It's all about Mundi. There's some real hitters in this bracket, and I don't favor him. But yeah, so stay tuned for all of that. Again, since it's December, since it's holiday time, TeePublic is basically going to be on sale, I think, perpetually for the rest of the month. So keep your eye on the TeePublic. Get yourself or some loved ones some TNAP merch. Help out your favorite nerds. Bloody Mary, SundaysBloodyMary.com/shop, code TNAP, TNAP at checkout. Get all the badass Bloody Mary supplies you need and help out your favorite nerds while you do it. Thank you all so very much for watching and listening, or however you engage with this show. And class dismissed.
Stop! Move away from the cookie jar!